Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
And away we go, episode 1224 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025, and remarkably, there reportedly will be no suspensions from the NFL regarding the brawl between the Washington Commanders and Philadelphia Eagles this past Saturday evening. I'm surprised by that, but we on Monday afternoon had multiple reports saying this. The NFL on November 10th announced having suspended Commanders interior defensive lineman Daron Payne 1 game without pay for what, right? Throwing a punch at Detroit Lions receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. This in the Commanders' 44-22 loss to the Lions at Northwest Stadium on November 9th. This brawl from the Commanders' 29-18 loss to the Eagles at Northwest Stadium this past Saturday evening, to me, was much worse than what happened with Payne, and yet no suspensions. Fines, however, could be coming. Hello and welcome to this Tuesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast, in which we talk Commanders on every episode, no matter the time of year. New episode each weekday, Monday through Friday, with each episode out by 5 a.m. Eastern, and often much earlier. The Commanders have a new quarterback, at least for this season, Jeff Driskel. He was with the team last season. He was their QB3 last season. The team on Monday afternoon announced having signed Driskel off the Arizona Cardinals practice squad to the active roster, and he is an option to be the Commanders' starting quarterback for their game against the Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this Thursday afternoon, Christmas afternoon at 1. Next segment, analysis of the Commanders signing Jeff Driskel, including whether he might start over Josh Johnson if Marcus Mariota is too injured to play against the Cowboys, and what this signing of Jeff Driskel says about how the Commanders feel about practice squad quarterback Sam Hartman. I'll also give you a breakdown of the Commanders' initial injury report for this game against the Cowboys, including 2 players who the Commanders late Monday afternoon announced as having been put on the reserve/injured list, and the following segment, conversation about another player now on the reserve/injured list, right guard Samuel Cosmi. His season is done. The Commanders on Monday afternoon announced having placed Cosmi on the reserve/injured list due to a concussion. We'll also get into the Commanders', shall we say, significant injury problem this season. And also on the show, I'll talk college basketball. Georgetown on Monday evening blew out Coppin State 97-67 at McDonough Arena on the campus of Georgetown in a game for which Hoyas head coach Ed Cooley served a 1-game suspension. Number 21 Virginia, it on Monday evening blasted American 95-51 at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, Virginia. Before we get to some feedback, the Washington Nationals, they on Monday afternoon officially announced the signing of free agent pitcher Foster Griffin. 1-year contract reportedly worth $5.5 million. So he certainly appears to be a candidate for the Nats starting rotation. Comes to the Nats off having spent the last 3 seasons as a starting pitcher for the Yomiuri Giants of Nippon Professional Baseball, which is Japan's version of MLB. The 2026 season will be his age 30 season. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You could email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Feedback on the Commanders from Mike on X. Writes Mike, what is your line? That which is inevitable should be imminent. I just don't think that Dan Quinn is the guy. He'll get another year or 2, but I think inevitably the team will move on. Thank you for that, Mike. Yes, that is one of my lines. That which is inevitable should be imminent. I'm a big believer in that. It's tricky with Dan Quinn. I am understanding of the Commanders having been hit hard by injury this season. I bring that up all of the time. I maintain that is the number one reason for the Commanders' disappointing season. I think this is a very different season if the Commanders have just league average injury luck this season. But I also brought up and continued to be bothered by the lack of Dan Quinn and this coaching staff coaching their way out of the injuries to where the team pulls off an unexpected win or two. There, during this time of the team being ripped apart by injury this season, has been no instance of the team rising up and pulling off an upset win. We see upsets in the NFL all of the time. It is very disappointing to me that Dan Quinn and this staff have not been able to, scheme things up and figure stuff out to where at least once during this time of the Commanders being ripped apart by injury, the team engineered an upset win. And of course, so many of the losses haven't even been close. So the Commanders for this regular season have the second worst point differential in the NFC, minus 95. Email from Dr. CCB, who wrote me this email while at the Commanders' loss to the Eagles on Saturday evening, writes Dr. CCB. Hi, Galdi. My son and I are at the game this evening, and I lie to you not, it is 80-20 Eagles fans. I sort of predicted that coming into this evening. It truly feels like we are in Philly, but real talk, low-key, embarrassed. SMH. Thank you for the email, Dr. CCB. It has become as predictable as the sun rising in the east. Eagles fans taking over FedEx Field / Northwest Stadium. This has happened so many times over the years. Happened again on Saturday evening. The worst instance of this to me was 7 years ago, December 30th, 2018. The Redskins concluded a 7-9 2018 regular season with a 24-0 loss to the Eagles at FedEx Field. FedEx Field for this game was completely taken over by Eagles fans, and a big reason for that was the Skins having opened up FedEx Field to opposing fans in a manner in which the team previously had not that season, and that had to do with the team just a few days earlier having parted with President of Business Operations and Chief Operating Officer Brian LaFemina. What a mess that was, the Brian LaFemina saga. But Eagles fans on that day overtook FedEx Field. Eagles fans this past Saturday evening overtook Northwest Stadium. And guess who played quarterback for Washington in each game? Josh Johnson. He was the Skins starting quarterback for that game on December 30th, 2018, and he came into this loss to the Eagles this past Saturday evening as a backup. Funny how things work out. Email from Rick Proctor. Writes, Rick, let's go with Olo. Our main goal now. Thank you for the email, Rick. Olo, Operation Lose Out 2.0 absolutely is our main goal now. Has been my main goal for weeks now. As I've said, I'm not here to tell anyone how to be a fan of this team. If you want to always root for wins, go ahead. I get it. But I am all in on Olo. Regarding this game on Christmas afternoon, given the circumstances with each team having been eliminated from playoff contention, I could not care less about the Washington-Dallas rivalry to whatever extent that even exists anymore. And understand this about rooting for empty, meaningless wins at this point in a lost season. So the Commanders, as things stand right now, have the number 7 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Do you know that had the Commanders on December 14th lost at the New York Giants instead of winning 29-21 and everything else was the same, the Commanders, as things stand right now, would have the number 3 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. That's the impact that an empty, meaningless win at this point in a lost season can have, dropping you from having the number 3 overall pick to having the number 7 overall pick. Operation Lose Out 2.0. Olo, big game on Christmas afternoon. Please consider subscribing to this podcast if you're not already doing that. Subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, radio host, sports commentator, former drummer for the Black Crowes. The winter holidays are here, a time for festive celebrations, family gatherings, and ringing in the new year. Whether it's a holiday party, a night out with friends, or just relaxing by the fire with a few drinks, it's a season full of good cheer. But here's something else to add to your holiday plans: a safe and sober ride home. Just like in sports and music, always have a game plan. And the most important part of any plan is sticking to it. If you plan to drink, take that plan a step further. Call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or have a designated driver lined up before the night begins. Drinking and driving is a decision that can change your life and the lives of others forever. A DUI, a crash, an injury. The consequences are real and lasting. So please, for your sake and for everyone else on the road, make the smart choice. Get a sober ride home. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
We have the 4-11 Washington Commanders versus the 6-8-1 Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this Thursday afternoon, Christmas afternoon at 1 in Week 17 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. This is a second consecutive short week for the Commanders, who are playing 3 games over just 12 days. The 29-21 win at the New York Giants on December 14th to snap an 8-game losing streak. The 29-18 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium this past Saturday evening, December 20th. And this game against the Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this Thursday afternoon, December 25th. And so the Commanders practiced on Monday afternoon, though they conducted a walkthrough of their injury report was based on estimations of what players would have done had the team conducted a full practice. 7 Commanders offensive players were on the team's injury report for Monday afternoon's practice. Quarterback Jaden Daniels limited as he remains shut down for the rest of the season while recovering from an injured left elbow. Quarterback Marcus Mariota did not practice, this due to hand and quadriceps injuries that he suffered in the loss to the Eagles. Left tackle Laramie Tunsil did not practice, this due to the oblique injury that caused him to be inactive for the loss to the Eagles. Receiver and punt returner Jalen Lane did not practice, this due to an ankle injury that he suffered in the loss to the Eagles. And the Commanders on Monday afternoon announced having placed Lane on the reserve/injured list and having claimed receiver Jamal Agnew off waivers from the Atlanta Falcons. Tackle/guard Brandon Coleman, full participant despite suffering a shin injury in the loss to the Eagles. Offensive tackle George Fant, full participant despite having a knee problem. And tight end Colson Yankoff, full participant despite having been inactive for the loss to the Eagles due to an ankle injury. 5 Commanders defensive players were on the team's injury report from Monday afternoon's practice. Interior defensive lineman Deron Payne did not practice, this due to a back issue. Interior defensive lineman Eddie Goldman did not practice, this due to the concussion that caused him to be inactive for the loss to the Eagles. And the Commanders on Monday afternoon announced having placed Goldman on the reserve/injured list and having claimed interior defensive lineman Shy Tuttle off waivers from the Tennessee Titans. A linebacker and special teams ace Nick Ballore did not practice, as it turns out that he's dealing with a concussion. And interior defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw and linebacker Bobby Wagner were listed as not practicing, but due to rest, the Wagner is listed as still dealing with a knee issue. So, who will be the Commander starting quarterback for this game against the Cowboys on Christmas afternoon? Well, a new person has entered the chat, though we are familiar with this person. Jeff Driskel of the Commanders on Monday afternoon announced having signed quarterback Jeff Driskel off the Arizona Cardinals practice squad to the active roster. So the Commanders on their active roster now have 4 quarterbacks: Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota, Josh Johnson, and Jeff Driskel. The team also has Sam Hartman on the practice squad. More on him shortly. But this season is Jeff Driskel's age 32 season. He spent last season as the Commanders' QB3. The team on April 1st, 2024 announced the signing of Driskel as an unrestricted free agent. He was taken by the San Francisco 49ers in the 6th round of the 2016 NFL Draft out of Louisiana Tech. He was released by the Niners in their cut down to 53 for the 2016 season. He proceeded to spend time with a number of other NFL teams, including playing in at least one regular season game in each of the 2018 through 2023 regular seasons. He, over those 6 regular seasons, played in at least one game for 5 different teams: the Cincinnati Bengals, the Detroit Lions, the Denver Broncos, the Houston Texans, and the Cleveland Browns. Also, Jeff Driskel has a connection to Commanders head coach Dan Quinn. Driskel played for the University of Florida for the 2011 through 2014 seasons. Dan Quinn was Florida's defensive coordinator and defensive line coach for the 2011 and 2012 seasons. Dan Quinn did a pre-practice press conference on Monday afternoon. We, during that presser, had this exchange between Commanders insider Tom Schad of the Washington Post and Quinn.
But beyond the preseason last year, I don't think we asked you much about Jeff. It was obviously Jaden and Marcus. Yep. But how does Jeff fit into that quarterback room?
Yeah, I think first thing you think about with Jeff is like extending plays. It's his ability to use his legs. He's got real speed. Those are some of the things that make Jeff unique, and I would say probably more closely related to the background of Marcus, from read and zone read option and being in the gun and working in that format. That's been a big part of his career. And so he's like super comfortable in those, types of plays. But he's been a great teammate. We loved, coaching him here last year. And so when this unfortunate opportunity came about, and a chance to add him to the mix, it was good. And there's a familiarity that you can step in quickly, and that helps, especially on a short week.
And we heard Dan Quinn, in talking about Jeff Driskel, immediately bring up his mobility. That certainly is a trait that can very much help a quarterback, being asked to play quickly off having just been acquired by a team. And as you may recall, we saw that mobility on display during the 2024 preseason. August 17th, 2024, a 13-6 Commanders loss at the Miami Dolphins. 1st and 10 for the Commanders at their 30 with 13:04 left in the second quarter. Driskel had a 41-yard shotgun play action scramble up the A-gap as he escaped a collapsing pocket, ran by multiple Dolphins defenders, and then cut left for more yardage. Now, in listening to how Dan Quinn talked about Jeff Driskel, it sure sounded like Quinn, at the very least, was considering Driskel as an option to start against the Cowboys this Thursday afternoon. We, on Monday afternoon, had this back and forth between Commanders insider Liam Griffin of the Washington Times and Dan Quinn.
Coach, you had mentioned yesterday that it'd be really hard for anyone you brought in from the outside to be ready for Thursday's game. With Jeff having that experience from being here last year, how quickly can he really get up to speed?
Yeah, it would still be tough, but it does help knowing that there's some history that goes along with the system and how he's done that. So Jeff's used to into a no-huddle environment. Certainly plays we know that he likes and knows that he performs well. So I'd say, without having to study the entire playbook, in one night to say everything's available, you'd much prefer to say these are the featured plays, and you can condense it if it was Jeff or anybody else into that spot too.
And if Marcus isn't available to go, have you guys decided how you're going to split the reps in practice between Josh and Sam and Jeff?
As we're going through for the start of it, Josh will get the lion's share of the ones today. In a short week, there's not tons that go. But Josh off to a good start. Obviously, last night began on the process for the game plan and having him in there, and this morning. So we just had our first walkthrough. And so what's the same, what's different, how will we work that? That'll be something that we'll work through over the next couple of days. But not a lot different for him as it is for anybody to say, what's the things best and how would we feature them? And so that's what we'll do.
So Dan Quinn not dismissing the possibility of Jeff Driskel being the Commander's starting quarterback for this game against the Cowboys this Thursday afternoon. Jeff Driskel on Monday afternoon did a post-practice session with reporters. Here was some of that.
I was excited for to come back to a building that I know, and know the guys, know the staff, know the system. Most of there's a lot of carryover from last year. It's not the exact same, but the comfortability is there. So I'm happy to be here, happy to see these guys, and hopeful to help out in any way I can these last couple weeks.
And I know it's possible you could start on Thursday. How do you embrace that potential challenge, and do you think you could turn around and be ready to start on Thursday if you're...
Yeah, I mean, anybody on the roster, who's dressing out on game day is expected to be able to go in and handle the game plan, and that's how I'm going to treat this week is attack that and be ready to go, because nobody cares if you're here for the whole year or a couple days. If you're in the game, you're expected to perform, and that's what I'm going to hold myself to.
Were you keeping an eye on this situation from afar at all?
I mean, I was watching the game just like most people were, and unfortunately, I saw Marcus go down, which was unfortunate. And, I know how things work in this league. There's relationships. There's, built-in trust from just the time spent together. And I'm happy to be back, but, I wish it was in different circumstances. But, yeah, definitely happy to be back here.
What's it mean that they kind of immediately think to call you and just check on your availability, see if it's something you're interested in?
Yeah, no, I was fired up. I had a great time here last year. I think that, while I didn't play, during the season, I feel like I did enough to earn some trust. And, that showed up, obviously, this week, so happy to be back.
I think your third team this season.
Yeah.
What's a season like that for you? And is there some comfortability when you show up to a place like this that you know the system?
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's also not unique in this league. I'm sure there's a bunch of other guys in this locker room that have been on other teams this year, and that's just the nature of the business. But yeah, coming back to a place with familiar faces, familiar system, coaches and players alike, it just makes the transition a lot easier. But it is. I mean, there's still a lot of new faces, and I'm doing my best to shake as many hands as possible in a short amount of time.
If you get the call to start or to play, you feel like you're ready to go?
I mean, I've been here one day. I got a lot of work to do. I feel like I did make a lot of progress in day one, and a lot of it came back to me relatively quickly, just because there is a lot of the same terminology. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go in and be prepared and, do what I'm asked to do and do it to the best of my ability.
Are these early mornings and later nights maybe than usual if you're in the middle of a season with a team you were already on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, probably. You got to make up a lot of ground pretty quickly. So, like I said earlier, if you're dressed out on game day, you're expected to know the plan, and doesn't matter if you've been here all year or a day. So I'll be spending the time required to make sure I know what I'm doing.
Besides Terry and some of these tight ends maybe in preseason last year, do you have any familiarity with any of these receivers here right now or running backs?
Oh man, don't quiz me on the roster right now.
Sorry.
I've been spending most of the time learning the plays, but globally, a lot of the names I recognize. So yeah, I wish you didn't put me on the spot like that.
I was wondering if there was anyone in particular like you played with before for a season or something that you could think of. It's okay.
Not off the top of my head.
No worries.
I guess the guys that were here last year. I don't.
A lot of those guys that were here last year said they're happy to have you back in this locker room. They said you add kind of a different fun flair. What do you think you bring to this locker room personality-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. The guys think I'm a fun guy. I'll take it. I think that's an important factor is, having the respect of locker room. So I'm happy to hear that and happy to be back. Quarterback room is an awesome group. It's the same guys from last year with the addition of Josh. And I haven't crossed paths with him until today, but I've heard nothing but great things. So happy to be back in that room and work with these guys for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, Jeff Driskel, prior to his time with the Cardinals this season, was with the Las Vegas Raiders this season. But what about Josh Johnson? After all, the Commanders this past offseason chose Josh Johnson over Jeff Driskel. The Commanders this past April 11th announced the signing of Johnson as an unrestricted free agent. This season is his age 39 season. Josh Johnson, the ultimate journeyman quarterback, was taken by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 5th round of the 2008 NFL Draft out of the University of San Diego. He signed with the Commanders off having played in at least one NFL regular season game for 7 different teams, off having spent time with 14 different NFL teams, including Washington. He was with the Redskins during the 2018 season. Johnson came to the Commanders with multiple connections to the team beyond having played for the Skins. Johnson was on the Detroit Lions from August 2019 to September 2019. That was during Commanders assistant quarterbacks coach David Blau's time as a quarterback for the Lions. Incidentally, the Lions on September 17th, 2019 released Johnson in favor of signing Jeff Driskel as an unrestricted free agent. Also, the San Francisco 49ers, they on December 6, 2022, announced having signed Johnson off the Denver Broncos practice squad to a 1-year contract. Commanders general manager Adam Peters was the Niners assistant GM at the time. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Dan Quinn.
With Josh, what was it that appealed to you about him to sign him this summer? Because Jeff was here last year, obviously. What did appeal about with Josh, and what does he add at this point?
Yeah, I think the experience part for sure was a big part of that. As you're going to go, just the history and different perspective, and so that was really the reason behind it. We're really glad Jeff's here with us, obviously with some history within the system that can help. And when we visited with him, hey man, doesn't have to have everything. What's the part that you would feel comfortable with if called upon? And so we reiterated that to him today. But these are two really good teammates. And so with Marcus, we're not sure where we're at yet. We thought this was the best decision for us, over these next two games.
So let's be honest about things. Josh Johnson, in the loss to the Eagles this past Saturday evening, did not do well, but he was thrust into a tough spot. What will determine who is the Commanders' starting quarterback for this game against the Cowboys this Thursday afternoon? We, on Monday afternoon, had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
In deciding who starts at quarterback, how big of a factor is making sure you can evaluate the talent around them going, into next season in these next couple of weeks? How much does that play a role in your decision making going into Thursday?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. The first part is just like the function and the continuity offensively. How can we play at our best? Because it's a little bit of both sides. If you can play at your best, it's also going to allow other people to do their thing. And so it won't read exactly the same off the call sheet if Marcus isn't available as it would be with Josh, but that doesn't mean there's not important people to feature and how to get the ball to. So I think you're right on both ends that that's definitely a part of it, to make sure that some of the playmakers are finding their spots to get involved without forcing an error or making a bad decision. So it's a great point that you bring up, and we're just going to try to find the balance to perform well, cleanly, and if we can do that right, then I think the second part is able to happen.
All right, much more in moments, but if you are planning a wedding or you know someone who is, check out or have that person check out cateringbyuptown.com. Catering by Uptown delivers not just delicious food of the highest quality, but also a flawless and memorable experience tailored to your special day. Catering by Uptown's team is dedicated to meeting your every need with elegance and precision. And if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. So also, Catering by Uptown is great for parties, so whether a birthday, an anniversary, a retirement, or a charity gala, Catering by Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Catering by Uptown is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras, who are great Commanders fans and loyal supporters of this podcast. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Josh Johnson did a post-practice session with reporters on Monday afternoon. Here was some of that.
Josh, you've been a part of a lot of different quarterback rooms in your career, as we know. In a situation like this, in a week like this, with Marcus potentially out and you being here, Jeff being brought in, Sam being here, what is this week like for a quarterback room going into a situation like that?
For us, it's just really stepping into the roles. Like, all of us, work hard for these moments. And Marcus' moment came when Jay went down, and Marcus went down, so I had to step in. And I'm pretty sure Jeff and Sam would be, working hard to be ready as well, like I was in their shoes. So I think, for us, it's just kind of stepping up into the next moment for us. Like, we all work hard for this, and now it's here. And so I'm just, grateful for it and taking it, 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time, and then, doing everything I can to get us ready for Thursday.
We saw just on our walk over here, you looked like you were taking a couple extra snaps with some receivers out on the practice field. Yeah. Is there more work this week than maybe weeks previously?
It's more work with the guys, yeah. Like here, everyone do a great job, whether it be walking through or throwing to equipment guys after practice, throwing to our coaches. Like, we've all have our own unique routines to try to stay sharp because there's not enough reps to go around for everybody. But this week is just more now getting more time on task with the guys and just walking through things and talking through things, just trying to get on the same page.
How would you describe your career and the journey you've had to travel just to get to this point?
Very unique. Very unique. Most people don't know. A lot of people assume. I've never really been a starter in this league. I've always been a backup. The last time I started was actually when I was here. That's the last time I really actually had a starter game. Most of the opportunities that came for me, just really something happened, something went wrong with the starter. Or I got brought from a team and I'm here and something happened to the backup. And so for me, it's been a unique experience, but it's been one, that I don't take for granted. I'm appreciative of every moment, of every journey, of every step, whether it be a good or whether it be something bad. I saw a lot of growth from those opportunities, and I've just been working hard and just, for these moments. And so this moment is here, and looking forward to it.
What does it say about you that you, like you said, you haven't been a full-time starter? So what does it say about you that you've been able to last this long without having that kind of a role?
Hopefully it say something good. But for me, man, I just try to keep, what's most important, right in front of me. That's starting with my relationship with God. Like, you gotta have your heart in the right place going through this. It's a stressful journey, and it's not one that I would wish on anybody. But God put me in this position to go through this for a reason, and so I'm embracing it with gratitude, and just trying to be, a light for this team, and just show them that I'm gonna be on my job to do what I gotta do to give us a chance.
All right. Well, what struck me as much as anything with the Commanders on Monday afternoon announcing having signed Jeff Driskel off the Cardinals practice squad to the active roster was, what about Sam Hartman? What exactly has been the point of developing Sam Hartman for 2 seasons on the Commanders practice squad when the team in late December of a lost season feels the need to sign another team's practice squad quarterback to the active roster? Like, is this not confirmation that the Commanders don't have faith in Sam Hartman? They initially signed Sam Hartman as an undrafted free agent out of Notre Dame, signed him in April 2024. The Commanders this past January 28th announced having re-signed Hartman to a reserve/future contract. He has spent each of the last 2 regular seasons on the team's practice squad, and yet here we are in Week 17 of an 18-week regular season in which the Commanders have been eliminated from playoff contention and are about to face another team that has been eliminated from playoff contention. And yet the Commanders don't have enough faith in Sam Hartman to put him on the active roster, not even for the purpose of starting, just to be a backup. What does that say about the development of Sam Hartman? We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Tom Shad and Dan Quinn.
What have you seen then from Sam over the past, I guess it's been going on 2 seasons now, in terms of his growth, and how do you make that evaluation of him versus a guy like Jeff?
Sure. Yeah, the good news is that we had a whole year with Jeff, so we had some background with him as well. So we tried to give Sam as much playing time as we could from the preseason. That was a big part of the goal for the evaluation. What I've seen, a lot of the growth, we wouldn't be able to show on a stat sheet or something from this season, but it definitely has been going like this with Sam. And so going into it, we just wanted to make sure 3 guys onto the roster, and in that space, Jeff was on a practice squad. So that makes the best, way to get all 3 in the building and being ready to perform. As far as up and order and all that, we haven't determined all of that yet, but let's get the guys in the huddle first. We can figure out how we want to deploy everybody.
All right, so I suppose we'll see with Sam Hartman. Maybe there is a chance he gets elevated from the practice squad to the active roster or gets signed from the practice squad to the active roster. Dan Quinn did mention Sam Hartman this past preseason. Yes, as you may recall, Hartman had a horrible 2025 preseason. Your Sam Hartman stats for this past preseason: 3 games, completion percentage of just 54.35, yards per pass attempt of just 4.5, no touchdown passes versus 4 interceptions. Now, he this past offseason did undergo surgery on his right shoulder, his throwing shoulder, so perhaps he this past preseason was not totally healthy, but man, he did not look good, and he also did not have a good training camp. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury essentially said that during camp. There is a conspiracy theory for why the Commanders have had Sam Hartman on the practice squad. Perhaps you are familiar with this theory. Now, there has been 0 actual concrete reporting that this theory is true, but the theory is that the Commanders have kept Sam Hartman because he's good friends with Jaden Daniels. We do know that they are good friends, but it would be very disturbing and very concerning and very Washington with Dan Snyder, his owner, if the team was spending a roster spot, even a practice squad spot, on someone who the team didn't like as a player solely for the purpose of placating a star player. That would be bad in all kinds of ways. I would be very surprised and very disappointed if the conspiracy theory, if the Sam Hartman conspiracy theory is in fact true, but that theory is out there. But respect to Sam Hartman. He on Monday afternoon did a post-practice session with reporters, and he answered questions about his situation. Here was some of that session.
It's Jay, it's Marcus, it's Jeff, it's Josh. That's a part of the role as a backup, and you kind of just go with the flow of what, kind of is presented and, be there for whatever that may be, a walkthrough, an extra rep, an extra throwing session, and, just help these guys be ready to go.
We've seen it, how much closeness there is in that quarterback room. How much have you guys had to kind of lean on that this year?
Yeah, it's been, imperative for us to, stay close because there's only one of us that go out there and play every single weekend, and we understand how difficult it is to have success and the ups and downs of a season, especially a season like this. We're just trying to stay close, and obviously it helps. We have a really good group of guys, and obviously Jeff was here last year, and, he's an incredible just dude, and it's always cool to have guys around that you want to play with and you want to be around. So he fits right back into the puzzle piece of a quarterback room, and obviously it's good to just kind of gel back in and keep it rolling.
Were you shocked to know they were going to bring Jeff back?
Everything's an emotional game, but no, I mean it's a part of the NFL, and it's a familiar face that you see walking in the building, so it wasn't too unfamiliar for me.
Similar to what JP said, obviously not the circumstances you want, but I'm sure you've dreamed of playing in an NFL regular season game your whole life. If you had that chance this week or next week, whether it's starting or coming off the bench, what would that mean to you to get in there?
It's about the team. I mean, I think we as a unit want to go out there and play well in the division, and so that's all it's about. And so, for me, if I can contribute in any way, that's great, but it's about us as a Washington Commanders, going out there and executing at a high level.
All right. Also on Monday afternoon was the reveal of the Commanders' quarterback order in terms of emergency quarterbacks. So had Josh Johnson gotten injured in the loss to the Eagles this past Saturday evening, the Commanders would have been down to their 7th quarterback option in terms of players on the active roster. Yes, 7th. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
The deep-cut quarterback question that I'm always fascinated by. In this last game, you were obviously down to one active quarterback. Should the worst case have happened, and I'm sure you don't want to think about the worst case this year, but should the worst case have happened and knowing like Luke and Colson are out, who would have played quarterback, and would Colson or Luke be one of those emergency guys if they were active?
Such an interesting question. So, yes, Luke was, of course, one, and yes, Yankoff was another. But in the last game, there was not Yank or Luke. So you ready for the one that was going to be in the last one? Not David Blau, good guess. It was going to be, and obviously working in some Wildcat, Jalen Lane. You can imagine my nervousness that took place after, one's out, another's there. And so generally in that space, who's had experience, taking snaps, handing it off, doing those things. So that was who was the third, emergency into that spot last week. So on the first punt of the game, when he's out, that plan changed. And so it became Jeremy McNichol. And so, there's always a contingency planning. But, it's funny that you brought that up. That actually went through my head after the first punt. So, okay, there we go.
All right, so per Dan Quinn and per what we already knew, the Commanders' quarterback order in terms of players on the active roster. This is something. QB1, quarterback Jaden Daniels. QB2, quarterback Marcus Mariota. QB3, quarterback Josh Johnson. QB4, receiver Luke McCaffrey. QB5, tight end Colson Yankoff. QB6, receiver Jalen Lane. QB7, running back Jeremy McNichols. But with Daniel shut down, Mariota injured during the game, McCaffrey on the reserve/injured list, Yankoff inactive due to injury, and Lane injured during the game, the Commanders would have been down to their 7th quarterback option in terms of players on the active roster had Johnson gotten injured in the loss to the Eagles this past Saturday evening. Amazing. If that doesn't speak to the Commanders' horrendous injury luck this season, nothing does. All right, Nova Fireplace and Stove. It is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for fireplaces. Transform the look and feel of your home and increase its value by visiting Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or by visiting NovaFireplaceandStove.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace from sleek and modern to rustic and cozy. Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style, and here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacements and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed and insured company with over-the-top credentials, a gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Every job includes a free in-home estimate, and for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia and thus knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. That's Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or NovaFireplaceandStove.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. More now on the Washington Commanders. They on Monday afternoon announced having placed right guard Samuel Cosmi on the reserve/injured list, ending his season. Cosmi in the 29-18 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles at Northwest Stadium this past Saturday evening played on 93% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. He in the fourth quarter left the game due to having suffered a concussion, and he now is done for the season. Sam Cosmi in the 2025 regular season will end up playing in just 9 of the Commanders' 17 games. He was on the reserve/physically unable to perform list August 26th to October 18th. This due to a torn right ACL that he suffered in the Commanders' 45-31 win at the Detroit Lions this past January 18th in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. The first exchange of Commanders head coach Dan Quinn's pre-practice press conference on Monday afternoon was this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
For Sam, how tough is it to have his season end after kind of what he's gone through just to get back?
Yeah. For seeing Marcus go out and seeing Sam go out, I know it probably. I always give an injury update, but it carried a little more with me with the two of them, just because one from Marcus, the leading standpoint, chances to go, so you kind of felt. And then with Sam, you knew it was coming for him to take these steps forward, coming back off the knee. And I think even over the last few weeks, you really felt that even more. So disappointed, but certainly know that so much work that he put in, it's going to provide him for a long time.
Yeah, Sam Cosmi over his 9 games in this regular season did play well. Overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 76.3. That's good. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 100. 60 is average. Washington took Cosmi in the second round of the 2021 NFL Draft out of the University of Texas. He initially with Washington was a right tackle, had trouble staying healthy, then got moved to right guard, and he has thrived at guard. And he's still young. This season was just his age 26 season and was the first season of a reported 4-year contract extension that he signed in September 2024. What now for the Commanders at right guard over their final 2 games of this season? We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
Who will step in for Cosmi? Will it be Wylie or Allegretti?
Yeah, that's how we're at right now with Andrew. Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so Andrew Wylie back as a starter for the Commanders. So remember, Wylie was the starting right guard over weeks 3 through 6 of this regular season. While Sam Cosmi was out, Wylie replaced Nick Allegretti, who got benched off being the Commanders' starting right guard for weeks 1 and 2 of this regular season. The Commanders in March 2023 signed Wylie as an unrestricted free agent. He, over the 2023 and 2024 regular seasons, played in and started 29 of the Commanders' 34 games, all at right tackle. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider David Harrison of SI.com and Dan Quinn.
I know Andrew Wylie obviously has guard tackle versatility and experience, so it's not as big of a concern there. But when you are trying to plug guys into positions they haven't been playing all season or shuffling pieces on the offensive line, what kind of challenge does that present?
Yeah, we're fortunate with Andrew because of his versatility, inside and outside. And so playing games, where he could, be a tackle, be a guard. This past time he was working at the jumbo spot. But it definitely, the continuity and the communication, that's a big deal. So I think you add the emphasis, you add, the time together in the meetings, in the walkthroughs to make sure those two players or, the person on either side of him, in his instance as a guard, the constant communication. But having that background, that's a big deal.
And so Sam Cosmi now joins the list of key Commanders players on the reserve/injured list. Cosmi, receivers Noah Brown, Jalen Lane, and Luke McCaffrey. Tight end Zach Ertz, running back Austin Eckler, interior defensive lineman Eddie Goldman, edge defenders Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise Jr., and Javonte Jean-Baptiste, and cornerbacks Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos. And of course, not included on this list is the QB1, Jaden Daniels, who has been shut down for the season and who's going to end up playing in just 7 of the Commanders' 17 games in this regular season. We on Monday afternoon had this exchange between Nikki Javala and Dan Quinn.
Just looking at the injuries overall, I know we always come back to this, but I mean, when you look back over things you did throughout the season, there's really no way to prevent these injuries, but is there anything you would change going into the next season about, handling this? I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to honestly evaluate every part of things that we can. For me, from the coaching side, you never want a season like this. And I also want to make sure I don't want to waste it either, to make sure what are we learning, what are we finding out, what are the lessons that will carry forward into next season. And I'm not thinking about them now, I'm thinking about all those today and in the moment. And so the injuries obviously are a big part of that, and having a lot of discussion on that. And so I'm just going to dig in as much as we can through the coaching and the medical, the personnel, the players, all of it. And that's part of the evaluation at the end of the season, but it definitely calls for a deeper look, I would say, of how we do it and, how we move forward. Like you said, some things are just unpreventable, Nikki, and that's the game. And every once in a while you can say that's bad luck or bad op. And so let's make sure we're not crossing the line on those.
What a season for the Commanders with these injuries. I mean, the team on Monday afternoon put 3 guys on the reserve/injured list: Sam Cosmi, Jalen Lane, and Eddie Goldman. The Commanders, this coming off season, of course, should conduct a deep dive on them having gotten ravaged by injury this season. But the truth of the matter may well be that the injuries are mostly a function of bad luck. Yes, the Commanders need to get younger, but so many of the players who've struggled with injury this season are younger players. I mean, Jaden Daniels, younger player. Some of the guys on the reserve/injured list: Sam Cosmi, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Trey Amos, younger players.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
This is Michael Rosenbaum. Hey folks, let me tell you that drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Let's talk college basketball. It was on Sunday afternoon that Georgetown Director of Athletics Lee Reed announced having suspended head coach Ed Cooley for one game. This for Cooley this past Saturday night at the end of the Hoyas' 80-77 loss to Xavier at Capital One Arena, accidentally hitting a child and the child's mom via throwing a water bottle in frustration. Just so happened that Georgetown's next game was against Coppin State and wasn't, say, a Big East game. Boy, did the scheduled timeout just right for one-game suspension. And Georgetown in the 2025-2026 regular season improved to 9-4 overall with a 97-67 blowout at Coppin State at McDonough Arena on the campus of Georgetown on Monday evening. The Hoyas' acting head coach for this game was associate head coach Jeff Battle, and this game was not much of a battle. Georgetown never trailed, began the game on an 18-3 run. Georgetown's leading scorer was 7-foot New Zealand native Julius Halaifanua. He in just 27 minutes as a starter had 20 points and 8 rebounds. He went 7 for 9 from the field, all twos, and 6 for 6 on free throws. Also 6'4" Arizona transfer KJ Lewis flirted with a triple-double. He in just 26 minutes as a starter had 15 points, 8 assists versus 1 turnover, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals. He went 2 for 3 on threes, 2 for 4 on twos, and 5 for 6 on free throws. Look, what happened with Ed Cooley has gotten a good bit of attention. What he did was dumb. He deserved to be suspended for a game, but what he did also is forgivable. He made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. I've seen some talk that he should have been fired. No, he should not have been fired. He did a stupid thing. He apologized, and he now has served a one-game suspension, which just happened to line up with a game against Coppin State. Next up for Georgetown, home to St. John's, but not until Wednesday night, December 31st at 8. Meantime, the latest Associated Press Top 25 poll for Division I men's basketball came out on Monday afternoon. Virginia up 2 spots to number 21, and the Cavaliers in this regular season improved to 11-1 overall with a 95-51 rout of American at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville, Virginia on Monday evening. UVA never trailed, outscored AU in the paint 56-16. A big part of that, 6'9" Belgian true freshman Testa Ritter, who bounced back off struggling in UVA's 80-72 home win over Maryland this past Saturday evening. He in just 23 minutes, 33 seconds as a starter, had 27 points, 8 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards and 2 steals. He went 3 for 4 on threes, 8 for 11 on twos, and 2 for 3 on free throws. The Wahoos, in this their first season with Ryan Odom as head coach, are scoring like crazy. They now have scored at least 80 points in 11 of the team's 12 games in this regular season. Here was Odom during the opening statement of his post-game press conference on Monday night.
Really excited for our guys. I thought they, on a one-day prep, did a really nice job overall in this game. We have a ton of respect for American, Coach Simpkins, and the team that he's put together, he and his staff. We've watched them plenty over the season. They're going to have an excellent year in their conference, and I know they're pushing for another NCAA tournament. You know, having said that, our guys were on it today. They did a really nice job from the tip. And, you know, we just challenged our guys to, you know, play every possession of this game like it was the last. And every possession matters, EPM. And, you know, throughout that game, our guys did that. We were not going to play perfectly. We knew that. We were going to make some mistakes, and we did. But we played through the mistakes. And, you know, I thought our guys, you know, continued to play. No matter who we subbed in, there was energy, there was effort, there was a desire to play together, and all the way to the end of the game. At the end of the Maryland game, we made it clear to our guys that we were not excited about the way that we finished that game with a minute left, or really 3 minutes left, and we've got to be better. And tonight, certainly, we were much better. Now we're moving on, even though we have one more non-conference game, moving on to Christmas, and then moving on to preparation for, you know, conference play, which we know is going to be tough. 6 of 8 on the road to start. It's not easy.
Yeah, nice shout-out by Ryan Odom to AU head coach and former Maryland star Dwayne Simpkins, who went to DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland. This is his third season as AU head coach. Next up for Virginia, at Virginia Tech on Wednesday afternoon, December 31st at 2, and UVA's ACC opener for this regular season. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Wednesday show, episode 1225. Will include a lot for you on the Washington Commanders, as this will be our preview show for their game against the Dallas Cowboys at Northwest Stadium this Thursday afternoon, Christmas afternoon at 1. Also on Wednesday's show, I'll talk Washington Capitals and Washington Wizards. The Caps are home to the New York Rangers Tuesday night at 7. The Wizards are at the Charlotte Hornets Tuesday night at 7. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. You know, the guys think I'm a fun guy. You know, I'll take it. I think that's an important factor is, having the respect of locker room. So I'm happy to hear that, and happy to be back.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.